So New Jersey actually has no fault or fault-based grounds. No fault grounds would be considered irreconcilable differences, and that's when the marriage has been broken down for at least 6 months with no real hope for reconciliation, meaning that there's no real hope for this couple to get back together. Also separation, and that has a legal requirement that the parties have been living separately for a period of 18 months. Some fault-based grounds are abuse, adultery, extreme cruelty, and those grounds, one party has to prove some factual premises in court, but usually most people choose to proceed under the no-fault ground of irreconcilable differences, as that tends to speed up the process and gets us the same result, which is getting you guys divorced. So in New Jersey, assets are divided under something called equitable distribution, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're divided down the middle 50-50, but the court divides the assets in a way that they deem just and fair. And many factors go into that, including the relative income earning potential of the couple, what assets were brought in as separate property, whether there was commingling of that property, meaning that during the marriage, did marital efforts contribute to increasing the value of that? For example, let's say one person brought a home into the marriage, however, the other spouse put in a lot of sweat equity or a lot of labor into that house, and bought materials that were used to make that house better and increase in market value. So the court considers those efforts as well in determining how that particular asset is going to be divided, irrespective of the fact if it was brought in by another party pre-marriage. Alimony is typically financial support that one party gives to another. And the question of whether it is common to be awarded really is fact sensitive and is a question that courts will determine on a case-by-case basis. It's very commonly awarded when one spouse earns significantly less than the other or perhaps doesn't work because typically in terms of the female spouse, they stay home raising the kids and expend a lot of efforts into homemaking. The courts essentially want parties to have a very similar quality of life after a divorce and doesn't want to penalize one party for choosing to stay home and focus on family. So the court will often order some financial support to that one party in order to make things sort of equal to when they were in that marriage. It tends to be around 25 to 30% of the difference in income for each party when one was working and earned significantly less wages. When the other party was not working, the courts tend to impute a minimum wage to that party. So custody in New Jersey, there's two types. There's residential custody, there's legal custody, and most parties, absent any abuse concerns, will typically enjoy joint legal custody, which means both parents can make decisions regarding important factors in their child's life, such as educational decisions, medical decisions. Residential custody is where it can become a little bit more complicated, meaning is it in the child's best interest to stay with one parent, live with one parent during the majority of the week, and the other parent has parenting time, meaning, is that child going to be with the parents just during the weekend? So child support can be determined by physical custody, meaning, and it's calculated based on how many nights the child sleeps over at that one parent's home. So if your spouse only wants to have the kids every other weekend, you'll likely enjoy a higher child support amount because that court factors into how much you're essentially having that child stay in your home on a full-time basis. If you have any questions at all regarding any of these topics I just mentioned, please do give us a call at Next Chapter Family Law. We're happy to help.